r/AskReddit. What's a harmless thing that terrified you as a child? Turn off the lights to the basement and then running up the stairs. I'm 35 and I still do that. Lawn flamingos. My big sister told me that they could take your soul if you looked into their eyes, so I'd run past them with my eyes covered. The FBI warning before movies scared the shit out of me. I was terrified of the glowing lights coming out of the earth during the Universal theme song. Swallowing seeds from fruits was teased that they would grow and take over my insides and a tree would eventually burst out of me. Did you grow up watching Rugrats? Old televisions, right after you turned them off, they would glow for a bit. That's when the monsters could come out of the TV and get you. Sharks in the swimming pool could be 3 feet deep and I was still terrified yours was just gonna leave only my trunks floating in the water. LOL, you ever floated in a pool while closing your eyes and then your brain is like, imagine if this was the ocean and you jolt to open your eyes to remind yourself you're not. You know the lines painted in lanes in swimming pools? And how the end of it looked like a T? Always imagined it being a hammerhead shark. Terrifying. Ceiling fans. I was afraid that it would come off the ceiling still spinning and chop me up like a helicopter blades. That and millions of bugs crawling through the windows and covering my bed like the plastic casket things people used to lay in on Fear Factor. Yeah, I totally grew out of that fear. It's not like I, an adult, strategically arrange my bed to make sure that the ceiling fan can't kill me while I sleep. That would be so silly. Escalators scared the shit out of me, trying desperately to fit within a rectangle before it becomes a step, jumping off of them at the end to avoid being sucked down into oblivion. And there was 1 or 2 anecdotal stories from the news to convince me that they were, in fact, killers. My mom always emphasized the dangers of escalators so that I would be cautious and hold her hand, but she tended to use graphic descriptions of like how it would suck my hair in if I fell down it and then they wouldn't be able to get me out. So I found them disproportionately terrifying. Now as a 34-year-old woman, I avoid down escalators unless I absolutely have to use them, and then it takes me a minute to psych myself up to step on. It's basically the embodiment of that David Mitchell quote. The trouble is that some children are timorous and some children are reckless, and in order to save the lives of reckless children, warnings are calibrated for their safety, the result of which is that the timorous live in a state of perpetual terror. What I needed to be told is, you know what? Most days, you won't die. It's fine. I'm dead certain I triggered an escalator to go into safety shutdown mode as a kid. It had bristles on either side, so I shoved my dumb kid foot into it thinking it was a shoe polisher, and when my dumb kid foot got stuck for an instant the whole thing came to a sudden halt. The grumblings of all the adults, parents of mine included, made me think I shouldn't ever tell this until just now. Quicksand. It's 2020. I think quicksand is a legit concern for me at this point. Actually, in 2020, I think you'll probably have a lot of bigger problems to worry about. Double quicksand? Porcelain dolls. I'm 27 now and still terrified, lol. It's the cold, dead stare. Those gives me the creeps. Not weird at all. Whenever the floorboards creaked, I imagined myself or my bed falling through the floor into the basement. Happened to a neighbor's daughter, 13-year-old girl, chilling in the bath. There's a creak and next thing the bath is in the kitchen. She wasn't hurt. By any chance, was your neighbor's 13-year-old daughter actually Cleveland Brown? The sound of the toilet flush. I would wash my hands first, then flush and run out of the bathroom. I was 100% convinced that snakes would come up out of the toilet and eat me. Terry Fox. So in Canada we have Terry Fox Day and the Terry Fox Walk because this guy, Terry Fox, tried to run across the country on one leg to raise cancer awareness. My child brain, however, didn't quite understand why. I didn't really understand what cancer was and nobody would tell me anything more than it's what took Terry's leg. I assumed it was a person or something. So all I knew was that we were walking because a dead man with one leg said we should spread word about cancer who stole his leg and giving him money. I was so scared that if I forgot to donate or if I missed the walk that Terry Fox's ghost would come with whoever cancer was and take my leg too. That little rope of boys that separated the deep end from the shallow end in the pool. Yes, I'm 35 and those still creep me out, not to mention those large boys in lakes oceans. I'm not much of a swimmer, BC pretty much anything in the water, including dark water itself, creeps me out. The concept of eternity. I was raised Christian and was terrified of the idea of spending forever in either heaven or hell. Forever sounded scary. Still does, dude. And from the way I was taught, it's supposed to be a eternity singing and dancing and worshipping, but deep down I just wanna know if there will be dogs in heaven, because if any creature deserves to go, it's the papas. The THX sound effect that preceded most movies in the early 2000s. It always scared me as a kid. I listened to it last night and it still makes me uncomfortable. Not sure why. Chuck E. Cheese. That rat still gives me child molester vibes. Fun fact. The new updated version of Chuck E. Cheese, in the commercials, is voiced by the lead singer from Bowling for Soup. Helicopters. I remember freaking out and crying if I saw one. They were like sky spiders. My dog is also afraid of helicopters. She's cool with airplanes, but helicopters are gonna eat us apparently. Mascots, like the people that dress up in those costumes that are fuzzy and have giant heads, terrified me. Literally, I would crawl up my dad and bawl my eyes out. One time at an amusement park, a guy dressed up as Yogi Bear kept coming towards me despite my terrified screams, and my dad almost had to kick Yogi Bear's ass. True story. I'm 25 and they still spook me. I keep my distance. Apparently everything. My mom was always the worst case scenario. No matter what I did, it was don't do that. You're going to poke your eye out. You'll crack your head open. And the list goes on. I thought the bathtub drain would suck me down with the water. One night, every time I closed my eyes, all I could see is a gorilla with a zip up and shades on. I slept with my mother and father that night. Spirit of Harambe has blessed you, my child. Could not sleep with my closet door open. I saw way too many movies with scary things in the closet, so I figured a shut door guaranteed my safety. I was a weird kid. Not me, but my husband. Jupiter. Something about the sheer size of it. The time 10 o'clock. I had a digital clock and every night I asked my mom to flip the clock around so I wouldn't have to see it. IDKY, I was such a weird child. The way horses don't have white in their eyes used to scare the hell out of me. This also applied to Puss in Boots when he did the pouting thing. Getting on and off escalators. I thought I'd slip getting on and scrape myself on the edge and need stitches. Or get my shoelace stuck at the bottom and trip and need stitches. Also, stitches. Oompa Loompas. Not me, but my daughter. She was afraid of balloons. The floating freaked her out. She wasn't afraid of them because of popping. She was especially scared if she saw a balloon that lost some of its helium and that would hover. No Face from Spirited Away. When I first watched the movie, sure, he was a little scary in a creepy way. Then, he started eating other people and it was a wrap for me. Not wearing socks to bed. I thought a toe monster would grab them and pull them off. So wearing socks fooled it into thinking I didn't have toes. Big exclamation marks. I was really scared of the song Tiny Dancer for a long time. Whenever I heard it, it reminded me of a black and white horror movie, lost to the depths of my memory, where this boy and girl were running through cornfields from something you couldn't see. Honestly, though I love the song now, it still gives me the creeps. LOL. Talking to adults, especially cashiers. I begged my mom for ice cream once when I was about 6, sitting at McDonald's. She said sure. I got all excited. Then she handed me a $5 bill and told me to go get it. I think that was my first ever panic attack. My heart started racing like a hamster on crack and I just kinda sank back into my seat and said, actually never mind, I don't want ice cream anymore. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.